Yeah, it's that time. We are getting down to the wire, just a little over a week away, and I think that all of us, I will say this, I think most of us have made our decision a long time ago. What they are spending time and money on now this is a lot like getting down to the wire when it comes to football season, when it comes to any season. I like March Madness, but I'm not a big college basketball fan. That's not the world that I live in. I like college basketball. I don't love it. I don't follow it like other people do. On college football, on the other hand, I watch it. You look at NFL fans, and there are differences in NFL fans. There are NFL fans like myself. I don't watch much preseason at all. I don't pay attention to preseason. It's meaningless. It is a glorified practice. I'm not interested. But I watch the regular season, and then I really am excited about who's in the playoff race. College football right now with the expanded playoffs and the 12 teams that expanded in this playoff, I am really excited, especially since I've got a team in the hunt. My Miami Hurricanes broke the top 5 for the first time in a decade almost. And the fact of the matter is, well, I shouldn't say that. They were a few years ago for a short time, and then they really fell off hard. But they've got a legit shot at making the playoffs this year. So I'm watching very closely. I'll watch the playoffs and the national championship game. But the NFL draft, I watch the first round of the draft. I want to see who the Cardinals are going to pick because I'm a Cardinals fan. I'll watch some of the big names to see who goes first and where the drop-off is. But I don't watch every round of the draft. I know people that do. I know people that pay attention to the NFL offseason as if it is part of the NFL season. They can talk to you about depth charts and everything else. I mention all of this because when it comes to the election cycle, people are exactly the same way. I'm in this business, so I'm watching American politics year-round. Election year, off year, midterm, doesn't matter. I'm invested in it. It's what I do. But there are many people that follow this like they follow sports, and they hero worship people that are in politics, which I don't understand. But the electorate starts to pay attention is let's say presidential elections. Right now, the American people, the large portion of the American electorate, makes its choice much later. They do it in the election year, and they start to really pay attention 6 months out. 6 months from the election, May, they start to pay attention, okay, who are the candidates? In the primary, whenever your state primary is, as the primary approaches, you start to look at, okay, I'm a Republican, who are the candidates? What is it about them I like? Okay, I've got to pick a candidate in a primary. If you're a Democrat, same thing. All right, who's my candidate? If it's an incumbent president, you know that it's settled. But you start paying attention to candidates in the primary season, and that is really the kickoff to what you're paying close attention to. If you're an independent voter and you haven't made a decision, we talked about this last week, it's probably because you don't like either candidate. So here's a little bit of what's coming up. This is an ABC News report. This is Trump had a huge rally at Madison Square Garden. And this is Trump talking about that rally at Madison Square Garden about his economic policies.
Some 20,000 supporters filling Madison Square Garden. Former First Lady Melania Trump introducing her husband.
New York City and America needs their magic back.
Trump painting the country as a failing nation.
We will very simply make America affordable again.
Pushing his plan to end taxes on tips and overtime pay and vowing to make car loans tax deductible.
So that is part of what he wants to do for the average American, trying to lower taxes for average people. Now, this is Karen Travers from ABC talking about the campaign schedule for the Harris campaign.
Vice President Harris is in Michigan today, making 3 stops in that battleground state. On Tuesday, she'll deliver what her campaign is billing as a closing argument, a major speech on the National Mall at the Ellipse, the location where former President Donald Trump spoke to his supporters on January 6, 2021, before they stormed the Capitol. Then it's back to the battleground trail for the vice president. Events on Wednesday in North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, and Thursday, she campaigns in Nevada and Arizona.
So the former president sat down with Joe Rogan to talk. 3 hours they sat down and talked. And so you look at, there's everything they do is with a purpose. There's no doubt. There's always a purpose to what they do. The overwhelming audience for Joe Rogan is male, largely. Now, there are some women that listen or watch the Rogan podcast, but it is overwhelmingly a younger male audience. So there's a reason why the former president took 3 hours out to sit down with Joe Rogan. There's a reason why the vice president is doing the things that she is doing. There's an obvious reason she's at the Ellipse for an event. The putting in people's minds and not letting them forget what happened on January 6th. So they are making tactical moves right now. And I don't, it's not good or bad. It's just that's exactly what they do. Now, looking at some of the headlines, Tim Walz repeated Hillary Clinton's attack that Trump's Madison Square Garden event mirrored a 1930s Nazi rally. This is where I think this is a mistake. This is a mistake by the Harris campaign. This is a mistake by Hillary Clinton. This is a mistake by Tim Walz. There is an adage, and it's a very fair thing, that you can attack a candidate. That's part of it. Negative works. For whatever reason, negative works. I think it appears desperate at times. I've talked about it appearing desperate. Maybe not so much here. There is a lot of negative feelings toward Donald Trump. But when you say that these rallies, there were tens of thousands of people that attended that rally at Madison Square Garden. When you start saying it was a Nazi rally, it mirrored a Nazi rally, you are now calling the attendees Nazis. That's a mistake. That's a big mistake. So the criticism of the Trump campaign and how they categorize migrants with a blanket statement about criminals and everything else, it's no different. It's the opposite side of that coin. You're saying Trump supporters that went to that rally are Nazis. They aren't. Donald Trump isn't a Nazi. As a matter of fact, the mayor of New York, who is a staunch liberal Democrat, was asked about Donald Trump being a fascist and a Nazi, and he said he isn't. He's not. So I just think it's a big mistake. You can make these labels, I think, fall on deaf ears after a time. They are going to do what they're going to do. I certainly don't blame them. I think the vice president is making a smart move by going and doing an event at the Ellipse, and she's going to appear to be a stateswoman. She's going to appear to be a respectful of American about that place, and she's going to put into the minds of people, and she's going to say to the people the stark difference between his behavior and her behavior. All of that is a smart move. But when you start saying that a rally being attended by tens of thousands of people, it was a Klan rally, a Nazi rally, when you do those things, now you're talking about the voters and the supporters. It's a fair criticism. It's a fair criticism, and I think it's a major mistake. A major mistake.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Catch up on Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast, and click the button in the middle to subscribe.